Okay, so today is a super special day because I have a new friend and I just realized why I like him so much. He reminds me of my old pastor, and I don't mean old, like old, because hey, I'm pretty old. But the fact is, he was one of our very, very best friends, and it was one of the churches that my husband and I had went to many, many years. And he and his wife took us to Scotland, and we got to stay with his parents, and it was just so beautiful to be able to stay at someone's home in Scotland and to be able to see how the Scottish people live. But the cool thing is you're from Great Britain, so you'll soon hear Stephen's accent, and you're not even going to want me to talk anymore, because once he starts talking, it's like, it's beautiful. So Americans, we're suckers for accents, right? I love it. So Stephen, he currently resides in Malibu, California, which I want to talk about that too, because I have a little story about that. But he is one of the world's foremost educators of professional hairdressers. He's a 31 plus year veteran of the Sassoon Salon and Academy, which I want to talk about in depth as well. And then, and I know you had gone to school in London, so I want to hear more about that and what that was like and all of that good stuff. And there's so many incredible things about Stephen, but I can't wait for you guys to hear from him. But he also won the award from Interculture Hair Cutting Icon Award in New York City, which I'm not surprised at all. And now I'm not surprised by this. You have to get on his Instagram, you guys. Go to @HairMoody and look at his work right now if you've never heard of Stephen Moody, because I'm telling you right now, his work is incredible. And I love how you've stretched yourself and you've gone beyond to do things on people's hair, different types of textures and things like that. And you won, or you're going to win, but you're a finalist in the prestigious North American Hairstylist Awards for 2021 as Educator of the Year, plus the Hair Cutter of the Year. So not just one, but two. And I thought I read, Stephen, in an article recently that this is your first time applying for NAHA.
I'm a virgin.
Wow. Has this ever happened where somebody applied the first time and became a finalist?
I highly doubt it, Tina. Highly doubt it. It's a
But I'm
fluke.
telling you, you've been preparing for this your whole life, because if you look at your work and you see the consistency of your work, I'm really surprised that you haven't, first of all, applied before. I want to hear about that. Like, why haven't you applied before, Stephen? And how do you think that you became a finalist?
You know, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on this podcast. I really do appreciate it. It's really cool, and it's such fun to share, particularly in this climate that we're in at the moment, to share with people, and also to share positivity. So, yeah, to answer your question about why had I never entered NAHA before, I think, and this was the same when I was in Britain. There's something called the British Hairdressing Awards. There's all kinds of different competitions all over the world. I didn't particularly like competition hair. I know that sounds weird, but I've judged goodness knows how many competitions, but I kind of didn't like the fact that it was tough to look at the winners of competition hair and bring a trail back to the salon, bring a thread back to Mrs. Smith. And my biggest passion is making money.
Yeah.
And I just sometimes, not always, but I sometimes found it hard to connect the dots between a hairdresser saying to a hairdresser, "You're amazing," and patting them on the back and saying how wonderful they are, but at the same time celebrating the hair that was done, so all of us, not just that hairdresser, but every single one of us, can get people to come through the door and to get their hair cut and colored and blow dried, and if we can, sell them some products while we're at it. um, so to me, I kind of sometimes struggled with the fact that it kind of went away from connecting back to Mrs. Smith. And then COVID came around, and And I read the rules that Naha had changed the rules. I thought, oh, that's interesting. What's happened here? So they changed the rules in a very clever way, in the sense that you didn't have to do a photo shoot to enter. You didn't have to have exclusive hair, looks, color, whatever you did, photography, that was just for the competition. Now, in years gone by, for people who are not familiar, if you put on social media your entry, you would be disqualified. You would be automatically booted out, because you weren't permitted to share ahead of the competition. But because of COVID, they said, we realize that people can't get together and do a photo shoot. You can't get together with a model and a makeup artist and a photographer. So what you can do is submit previous work, previous collections. And I didn't have any previous collections. I just had a ton of previous work.
Yeah.
So I started rifling through my stuff, and bit by bit, I thought, you know what? I don't think anybody's ever won Naha haircutting with naturally finished African-American hair.
Right.
They'd won with African-American hair, but it had been straightened, or it had been chemically altered, or, iron straight, so it had been made to look like Caucasian hair.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to enter with naturally curly hair that's been cut with a pair of scissors. It's been blow dried with the diffuser, and I've really harnessed this hair. And that's been a passion of mine since the 80s, is to work with naturally Caribbean, ethnic, African, whatever label you want to put on it, without beating the hell out of the hair. That's been a passion of mine. And I went through my files, and my biggest challenge, Tina, to be really honest with you, I couldn't get, for example, a signature from a photographer in Brazil, or I'd done a great look in South Africa, but I couldn't find the model. Because to enter, you have to have a makeup artist signature, a photographer signature, the model's signature. And typically when you do a shoot that is specifically for that, you collect it all on one day. It's easy. But my looks spanned 7 years. So they went back. There was one that was 7 years old, one that was 4 years old, one was 3 years old. And I literally had to beat the bushes and track down, all these people that had helped me and get the sign off, get the signature. What I ended up with, a lot of the looks that I wanted to put in, I couldn't, because I couldn't track people down because of COVID or because of whatever. So finally, I put these 3 looks together, and the common denominator, just by coincidence, it was a huge coincidence. The photographer was a guy called Nick Berardi, who has been my friend for, 37 years. And he photographed all 3 models just by coincidence.
Oh my God.
And none of them were cut for competition. I think 2 of them I'd cut on stage. I think I had an audience of like 750 people watching me cut one of them. And then we took her backstage and we took a picture of her. And then another one I did in the studio in LA, and that was a big audience. And then the third one I actually did for Nick. He has a channel called, shameless plug for Nick here, nickeducation.com. And it's a pay-per-view channel. And I go and do a lot of work for him and do step-by-step looks. And my third look was this girl that I'd done for him. So he'd shot all 3. So what he managed to do, he managed to manipulate the backgrounds to make it look like they were all standing against the same concrete wall.
Wow.
He managed to just tinker with the lighting to make it look like they were shot all on the same day. But there's 7 years distance between the first one and the last one. And yeah, they're all haircuts. And I just thought, I'm going to enter this. And everybody I showed them to, they said, you don't have a prayer. That belongs in the texture category. And I was like, why? These are haircuts.
Yeah.
this is texture that has been manipulated with a pair of scissors and a comb rather than chemicals and straightening and blow drying and round brushes and blah, 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 blah. These are haircuts. They just don't happen to be straight. But I don't believe to win, you have to enter straight hair, because not everybody on this planet has straight hair.
Right.
So that was the intention. And then when they said that I was a finalist, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I had absolutely no idea. And then the other category too was a brand new category this year called Educator of the Year. And I thought, you know what? I'll just throw my chance in there. And I'm just so thrilled to be alongside Vivian McKinder and Sam Via and Chris Barron and who's the other one? Tabs. Tabitha.
Tabitha
Coffee. Yeah. So I thought that was really cool too, because we're all educators, but we all do it a bit different.
Right.
We have a different sort of audience, so to speak, and that was really, really. I was so honoured to be part of that group as well, alongside people who I consider to be really, really well established and peers, really, people that I look up to as educators.
Yeah.
So
incredible. Yeah. Well, I think you all should win for sure. And I agree. What a great category. And after meeting you, I was like, oh my gosh. And then you got nominated for a finalist. And we had already talked to you in our Empowered Salon leadership group. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to somebody in greatness. So I need your autograph. But I love the fact that when opportunity comes, it's too late to prepare. And you've been preparing all along, like you said, for 7 years. And I love the fact that you're such a visionary too, Stephen. And you saw and said, hey, we need to make sure that we're cutting textured hair, but natural hair. And I just recently listened to a podcast with Wynn Claiborne, one of my good friends, Nicole Cumberlander, and one of the people that she works with, and just the stigma that they've received for their entire life, really, of not being able to be accepted by their natural hair. And but you said, I want to embrace this. In fact, one of my old partners that I had in my business was Ken Pavis, and he's the same way. He's always embraced natural texture. And I just think that's incredible. And he's taught my daughter that over the years. Where did that come from for you? And give advice right now to hairdressers on that.
I think the whole attraction thing began with, I think probably when I was about 12 or 13, I really kind of liked the sound that came out of Detroit. Yeah. That eventually became Motown. The Barry Gordy sound, or what's the gentleman that just died? Phil Spector. Phil Spector was a producer. And the Supremes and the Ronettes. I just thought that music was absolutely to die for. And then probably as important, I just thought those women were to die for too. I just found that, the way they were put together, they were so polished. It was just gorgeous, easy music to listen to. So that was my first attraction. It was really through music. And then it kind of went on. And as I really joined Sassoon, and my head became quite geometric, my eye became more geometric, should I say, I looked at hair like architecture and angles and lines. I think, Grace Jones came into my life, and she's never gone away. And that kind of triggered my attraction to confident women, powerful women. And, that really, her hair and the shoulder pads and a cigarette and just the color of her skin just being so black and shiny, a whole presence and her songs and the lyrics and everything. I just found that incredibly attractive because it was empowering. It was a woman who was strong and in charge and just had a wonderful voice. And the hair all sort of, the hair just all connected together. So I just, in the early sort of 80s, I just wanted to cut hair that I could carve those shapes. And obviously that the best hair type to do that on is naturally curly hair, and not beat the hell out of it, really pick it and really create a shape with a scissor and a pick, as opposed to a round brush. And then I think it was that combined, Tina, with the fact that, at Sassoon, it was just drilled into me, and everybody, but not just me. Vidal just drilled into us the fact that the measure of a woman's hair was not how she left the salon. A measure of a woman's hair was what it looked like 10 minutes after she woke up, what it looked like an hour after she got out of the shower. And that really took me down the path of, I've got this kind of mantra when I'm teaching people, there's two ways you can look at hair. And one is, treat it like an old beach towel or a pair of jeans, and chuck it in the washing machine with the beach towel and the jeans, and just put any old detergent in there. The other extreme is, you save up forever and ever and ever, and you buy a super expensive cashmere sweater, and that cashmere sweater is taking you forever to buy. And you hand wash that, and you buy special shampoo, special detergent, and a conditioner to put in the cashmere. And then, after you've hand washed it, you don't throw it in the dryer. You lay it out on a towel, and you pat it very gently, and you block dry it, and you let it air dry. And that kind of mindset is how I kind of look at hair. Is you really only have one cashmere sweater on your head. It's not an old pair of ragged jeans that you're going to beat the crap out of. Take care of it, look after it, and you'll get more from your color. You'll get more from your haircut. It'll be easier to style. Select the products that you're going to put on there. Don't just use any old shampoo from wherever. So that was kind of molded into me at the very beginning, was to treat hair with a great deal of reverence and respect. And that's kind of still with me today, Tina, in the sense that, in 2021, we really make money from coloring hair. But, I think a lot of colors that we do as an industry could look better, could feel better, could be more vibrant if they were accompanied with a haircut, as opposed to a little, a trim. Because, we all know that hair reaches a point where, for example, color goes in and it just comes back out again. There is, every head of hair can only get so long.
Right.
And it's history. It can't get any longer. But the manufacturers, and I work for a manufacturer, they would lead us to believe, and TV ads and all kinds of things, that if you use this product over here, it'll repair split ends and it'll help you grow your hair. It's just not true.
Right.
Every person, and it's usually down to their ethnicity, their diet, their lifestyle. Every person has some point where, their hair really is not getting what it could be because it's too long, for example.
Yeah.
And it's the same with color. I work with an incredibly talented lady. If people are listening, Google Annie Humphreys, Annie, Humphreys, Humphress. And if you're at all interested in coloring hair or being an amazing colorist, know your history and Google this lady.
Yeah.
And she's the mother of hair color, as far as I'm concerned. And I once asked Annie, who, by the way, pretty much invented foil. She invented what we would now call painting or balayage. She did all that long before it was all where it is today with social media. You know, she's got her fingerprints all over the Wella color line, the color wheel. I mean, just her achievements are incredible. And I once asked her, I said, you know, what was probably the most impactful or important thing about you coloring hair? And I honestly thought Annie was going to turn around, Tina, and say, you know, painting or developing foil or developing this line or this collection or this trend or whatever. And this is Michael Jordan of coloring hair.
Mm.
And she said to me, a haircut.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, you know, for that woman to say that the thing that made her color absolutely zing was a pair of scissors.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So you're breaking down so much right now, and I'm loving this. So talk to the salons right now. Like, where do you see they're deficient in this, and how can they make a change right now? So salon owners are listening to this right now, and they're like, you know what? I want to do exactly what Stephen is saying, but I don't even know where to start.
Well, first of all, I just, you know, I'm an employee of Wella, a full-time employee of Wella, and I don't own a salon. I don't run a salon. I don't employ people. So in many ways, I don't think I'm qualified to answer your question, but I'm going to try. And that is that, you know, I would just try really hard to take advantage of the situation that we're in at the moment. That's just awful. Yeah. And just try to find lemonade, you know, amongst a pile of lemons. And I think, you know, the first and foremost way with that is to really take advantage of time, because, you know, whether your staff is you know, working 25% or they're working 100% or they're furloughed and they're at home, you know, permanently, is really encourage your team and your staff to get off of Netflix and to get onto Hairbrained, for example. I'm just using Hairbrained as an example. Perfect. To really take advantage of that and really, you know, get a doll head and just practice and really make the most of this time, because before we know it, Tina, you're going to bat your eyelids and we're going to be back to 99 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. We're going to be back to, oh my God, I don't have time for education. Oh my goodness, I you know, I'm too busy type of thing. So just, if you can, just really sort of look at different opportunities. And for me, one of the things that I think is super important is virtual education that is doing. Virtual education that is doing. As hairdressers, and particularly hair cutters, we're very, very physical. And, you know, I've studied the brain of the hairdresser for the last 40 years. And I truly believe that we learn the most when we're doing. Yeah. Whether it's face-to-face education and you're going to a Wella studio and doing a class hands-on on people, or you're taking a class with DJ Muldoon or at Sassoon Academy or Tony, wherever it is. Anytime you've got to roll your sleeves up and you're physically coloring somebody's hair and someone's standing over you and going, no, this way. Or someone's helping you and guiding you through a haircut, and lift your elbow a little bit higher, it's going to be easier. If I was you, I might want to just blow dry that a little bit straighter. It's that physical hands-on, invest in that. And I think that pays off. I think at the moment, I think a lot of hairdressers are overdosing on virtual education where they're watching. And when you're watching and not doing, I think the percentage of retention, the percentage of information that's really going in and you're taking away, is probably like 5%, 3%. Yeah. And it's because it's flat. It's a flat, two-dimensional environment, and you're listening you're not doing. And if you can, there are classes out there. I know this morning I started my first class at 5:30 a.m. Pacific, and I went to Cape Town, South Africa.
Wow.
And I came home from Cape Town, and I went to Argentina, and I did a class in Buenos Aires this morning. And then I went to upstate New York, and I've been somewhere else today. I can't even remember where else I've been.
All
But
over.
all of them,
Virtually. That's so cool.
all of them were virtual, Tina.
Yeah.
And all of them, people were cutting hair.
Beautiful.
And some were cutting hair on people, where COVID allowed that. And I was guiding them through a haircut. And some couldn't, so they were working on mannequins. But that's a really amazing way to really take advantage of the situation we're in at the moment, take advantage of the times, and keep your fingers and keep your eye and keep your soul fresh and alive.
Wow. This is so crazy you're talking about this, because John Maxwell, I'm a John Maxwell coach. He just taught a class over the weekend on this, that if you're just receiving knowledge, so like what you're talking about, it's about a 3 to 5% chance of change, right? Yeah. If you're practicing, that goes up higher to about 40%. But more importantly, it goes up to 90%. And you mentioned it earlier, you slipped it in, was coaching. And this is so huge, because I believe that we need to change the way that we're doing education in our salons. And it has to be in-house, like what you're saying. And there has to be consistent coaching going on. But what I'm hearing when I coach salon owners is that they don't have time to train their hairstylists. And I'm like, you don't have time not to train your hairstylist, because they're going to leave, right? And so let's talk about that right now, because this is huge, because you're an educator. You're going to win the Educator of the Year award with Naha. I keep saying that you're winning, so you must be. So we'll have to celebrate that already. But in my mind, you did. So, and I love that, because what is your advice for changing up how salons are doing education and what that looks like? For us, we decided many years ago, Stephen, to shut down on Tuesdays. So we don't even take clients on Tuesdays. Those are education days. And that's so important to us, to not worry about what types of money is coming in. So we've actually been able to prove the model for the past 5 years, that you can work 4-day work weeks and make just as much money as if you were working 5 days. And the education has really helped. So can you talk about that and what your opinion is and advice?
I'm a little bit controversial in my organization with this. I think, from a manufacturer standpoint, for example, but I think you could probably readily translate this to a salon. I think there should be two types of education, two buckets. And one is product knowledge, for example. How to operate a computer at the reception desk. How to mix this color over here with developers so you get this result. And the equivalent of that is you buy a car and it comes with seatbelts. It comes with airbags. And that's normal. And you shouldn't pay extra or need above and beyond that, because that should be a package. And that is a massive part of how we operate our businesses, is that we all need to know how to work that computer system, for example. And that needs to come with that computer. Mm-hmm. The other side of it is what I call craft education. In other words, how to take all of that and take it to the next level. Mm. So again, you buy a car, it comes with speakers, but you might want to upgrade to those Bose speakers that have the surround sound and 6 speakers, a tweeter, and because that'll take your experience to another level. Mm. And I truly believe that when a stylist has to financially contribute to that investment, they're vested. So they arrive 15 minutes early for the class, not 15 minutes late. They leave that class 15 minutes late, not 15 minutes early. And they don't arrive with a model, they arrive with a freaking amazing model.
It's good.
When they are vested. And again, speaking to salon owners, that's an approach that I would recommend. And have a co-op, have a 50-50 or a 30-30-30. 30% me, the salon owner, I'm going to pay for that. 30% I want you to pay for it. 30% is coming from your retail sales, for example. I don't know. It's a clever ways to do this. But what I found working at Sassoon and teaching professional hairdressers from all over the world is when people were vested financially in that education, they weren't half pregnant. They were pregnant.
Yeah.
They were in.
Yeah.
And I clearly remember working with my mum. I don't know, I was probably like 14 or 15, and I think it was a Saturday, and she was crazy busy, and I was helping sweeping the floor and doing whatever. And my mum finishes this haircut, Tina, and she walks the lady to the front desk, come and see Margaret. She'll make your next appointment and look after you, and thank you very much for coming today. And the client said to my mum, oh, I'll see you in 6 weeks. It was a 6-week haircut cycle. And I clearly remember my mum saying, oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot to tell you, I won't be here in 6 weeks. Could you come 5 weeks, or could you come 6 weeks? You can't come, 5 weeks or 7 weeks. I'm not going to be here on the 6th week. And the client said, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. She said, where are you going? My mum said, I'm going to Vidal Sassoon. I'm going to take a cutting course. And this lady, in the nicest possible way, Tina, kind of rolled her eyes and kind of tossed her head back like that. And she said, I don't know how you afford to take a week off work. I don't know how you afford to pay for the train fare to go to London, to stay in a London hotel, to pay Vidal Sassoon's fees. She said, I don't know how you afford to do that. And Mum said, it's really simple. She said, you pay for it. Because when you come back, your haircut will be £1 more expensive.
It's good. Yes. Pricing.
Pricing.
Yeah. What do you think keeps people from charging what they're worth?
I think there's a lot. I think one of the things that I know I sometimes creeps into my conversations is I think a lot of stylists think of their clients as their friends.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between being friendly with a client and being friends with your client. And your client isn't your friend. They're your client.
Yeah.
Just like my dentist fixes my teeth. He's not my friend. He's friendly.
Exactly.
He's very friendly. He's a lovely man. And I love going there, but he's not my friend. And he has no hesitation increasing the price of a filling at all. Doesn't enter his head. And I think it's important that we charge what we think is our value. Mm-hmm. And when we're putting together a package of highlights and treatment and a haircut and a blow dry, that it costs what it costs, and it's your time and it's your materials that you're using, and you have or you haven't invested in education for you to be able to do that amazing balayage. Somewhere, somehow, somebody is paid for that, so you need to be reimbursed. And the one thing I'm afraid of, Tina, kind of coming out of COVID-19, is deja vu 2008. And I kind of saw in 2008, we had a terrible financial crisis in 2008. Mm-hmm. People couldn't pay for, they couldn't pay the rent, they couldn't pay the car payments. It was a terrible, terrible time. So I think as an industry, subconsciously, I don't know this was any one particular person that thought this up, But as a global industry, we decided to elongate the salon appointment. So how did we elongate the salon appointment? We told people to grow their hair longer. We told people that long hair was fashionable. We told them that grown out roots were on trend, and that coming and getting your hair colored every 4 months, 6 months was on trend, as opposed to getting your hair colored every 4 weeks. We said to people, just come for a trim, grow your hair longer. And you can go 2 months, 3 months, 4 months between haircuts. And we did that because we either felt sorry or there was some kind of financial scenario. The problem is, it's now 2021.
Yeah.
And we're still doing the same freaking thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're still telling people, grow the hair, get it longer, grow out the roots. Go on YouTube, watch this video, you can beat your wave your own hair. So in a nutshell, and I'm not saying this is every salon in every country, everywhere, we've shot ourselves in the foot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit, I talked about my dentist earlier. It's a bit like me going to my dentist for my, I go every 4 months to have a cleaning. And I sit down in the chair and my dentist looks in my mouth and goes, you know what? I know you come in every 4 months, but come every 9 months. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. It's okay.
Wow.
Just keep brushing your teeth. You'll be fine. And you know what? That root canal that you need at the back, that root canal? If you go on YouTube, there's a great video on YouTube. You can do your own. You don't need me. Just do your own root canal. You'll be fine. In fact, go on Amazon and I'll show you where on Amazon you can buy the anesthetic. You can do your own root canal.
So true. You're talking my language. I was in dentistry for 14 years before I did this. So this is right up my alley. And I never could understand why people would go more than 3 or 4 months to have their teeth cleaned, because I ended up working for a periodontist. And now I personally go every 3 months. I can't imagine going 6 months or a year. Like, hello, this is so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. So people are stuck in the rut right now of long hair, right? Balayage. How can they start to make that shift into education? And how do they get that education?
Well, at the moment, I think pretty much the only way they can get that is coming back to what we said earlier, Tina, is with virtual. I mean, pretty much every face-to-face opportunity that we used to have to take a class, to have an educator come into the salon, or to go to I'm making this up, a harebrained get-together, because of COVID right now, we can't do that. Exactly. And I think that's where it's important to seek out physical, hands-on virtual education, whether it's color or styling or wedding do's or whatever, one-to-one coaching, all that kind of stuff. It can be done virtually. If you'd have asked me a year ago, Tina, did I believe in what I've just said about virtual one-to-one hands-on? I would have said absolutely no way. You have to be face-to-face.
Yeah.
And the last 10 months, I think I've delivered, I counted the other day, I think I've delivered about 220 classes in Russia, in Holland, all over the place, all over the States. And it's great and it can be done, but it's not easy. I'm starting tomorrow actually with something called Interculture Cutting Council. And myself and a couple of colleagues, we've selected 4 young up and coming proteges who are employees of Interculture Salon members. And we're going to go through a mentoring hands-on session with these people, 1.5 hours. There's 6 of them, 6 1.5 hours. and we're really looking to elevate their craft and confidence and consultation and execution of executing hair shoulder length and above. Shoulder length and above.
Wow.
And again, you know,
That's
the
beautiful.
reason I'm going down this route, I had a great conversation with a lady called Sheila Wilson, who's the president of Interculture. And these are Sheila's words, a wise woman who owns a salon in.
I love Sheila.
Yeah, she's in the South, Tennessee, Nashville, I think, Tennessee. And she said, you know what? She said, the last sort of 10 years, we've slowly lost the color business to grown out roots, to people coloring their own hair at home. We've slowly lost the styling business to beachy waves, YouTube, and people styling their own hair. A lot of people can style their own hair better than we can. And she said, we've definitely lost the retail business to Amazon.
Yeah.
She said, the only thing that's sacrilegious to us as salon owners is haircuts, shoulder length and above. And the reason is they grow out. They need maintenance. They need to come back every 6 weeks. And
Yeah.
Tina, I finished a sentence for her and I said, shoulder length or above with custom color integrated. So maybe 2 colors, maybe 3 colors that speak to the haircut, that speak to the features of that person, that speak to the ethnicity, the lifestyle, etc. But really integrating color and cut and style and retail that's really kind of specific to that person and referred and custom built on that individual person. And the challenge is many people have come into our craft, Tina, and they've come into cutting hair that's the middle of the shoulder blades, and a haircut to them is cutting 1/4 of an inch from shoulder length, shoulder blade hair, or cutting hair that's elbow length and cutting 1 inch off. So they've never had the luxury and the experience of cutting on a regular basis hair that's shoulder length and above. And as you well know, it takes a lot of craft, it takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of practice to be versed in doing that hair as opposed to hair that's elbow length, and then you hit it with the irons. But that hair that's elbow length, it's not a 6-week service. And to come back to my 2008 comment, we've got to be so careful we don't fall into that trap coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
We've got to be the leaders. As salon owners, as stylists, we've got to be the leaders in directing our clients.
Yeah. You know, something that I've kind of noticed over the years being a school owner, and I know you've been in schools and obviously the Educator of the Year. Have you noticed that most women color hair and most men cut hair? Like, why is that? You know, when you see that, what do you think the problem is here? Is it education?
I think you've got a great point there, and I think there's a massive element of truth in what you're saying, and I've thought it through, and I don't know why. I don't know. You're absolutely correct. I don't know what it is, and maybe it's something as simple as, you know, the male eye tends to see angles, the male eye tends to see geometry, the male eye tends to see angles and shape and proportions, whereas the female eye tends to see texture, tends to see warmth. You know, I mean, yeah, I'm a prime example. My wife is a colorist, and
Wow,
you know,
that's crazy.
About, what was it now?
But you need to team up with a man.
We've got a kitchen.
I love this.
We
What is
bought a
it
kitchen
about
in 2012. So
2012?
I'll be quick on this.
Yeah.
2012 for this kitchen. So the conversation goes along the lines of, Maria, I think we should have a cabinet across here. And I think that cabinet should be about that width and about that deep. How many inches do you think that depth should be? I think it should have some warm tones.
Yeah.
No. How many inches? Well, I think it should be more gloss than that. No. How many inches? And
Yeah.
then she said to me, what do you think we should do with the underlying sort of mood of these tones in this marble countertop? And I, 3 feet is my answer. 3 feet. It's like,
I love it. That's so true, though. It's so funny. And yeah, I think maybe the education needs to shift in training with hair cutting so that women can understand it, maybe,
I don't
But I
know.
notice one thing is the laws in each state. So I'm in 2 different states. And in Florida, it's super easy to get your barber's license. And so the
Yeah.
ones that have actually taken advantage of that, one of my salon partners, so she not only got her cosmetology license, but she got her barber's license. So now she cuts a lot of hair, and that the education made a huge shift for her. And so I think it starts right there in the cosmetology school. But the challenge is the states are kind of held back. So for instance, in Michigan, to get your barber's license, instructor's license, it's literally impossible. I think we have a list of 4 barber instructors in Michigan listed, registered. And so it's almost impossible to get someone in to do your barber program, right? And so kind of shifting that education. And so I think it starts at the legislative level, of course, from there. But in the meantime, I think we can do a better job as far as educating. And I think this podcast is going to be huge for people to listen to. I know it is for me. I've been completely enlightened. Let's talk about the consultation, because I think all of this happens in the art of the consultation. What do we need to shift in our salons in order to be this type of hairstylist, this next level hairstylist that you're talking about, right? And how do we deal with the men in these women's life that usually have long hair that won't let their hair be cut short because they love long hair? Because let's talk about the reality of the culture, right? Of what men are looking for. Or
Barbies.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're looking for Barbie dolls.
Barbie dolls.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And again, I will be tempted, I think, with that woman who's, I don't know what my husband's going to think. I don't, my boyfriend, and I'm not sure. And I need to ask him what he thinks. I would be tempted to try, if you can, to invite that man into the forum, invite that man into the consultation.
Yeah.
And empower him to be part of that conversation and journey.
Great advice. I love that. Yeah, that's interesting. We always did that in dentistry, because when somebody needed a full mouth restoration, we would always have people in. So in our school, we'll say, okay, is there anyone that's involved in this process? Are you married? Do you live at home? And so bringing the parents in, right? Because you need to have that full support. Otherwise, what's going to happen? They'll go home and their husband or whoever will say they don't like it. Parents, this happens all the time, right? And they come back in, my family doesn't like my hair. I need my money back. I need a full refund. But you're right. You need to involve that whole committee.
Yeah.
That's
no,
so
absolutely.
brilliant.
Absolutely. And again, back to the actual physical consultation itself is I think often it's kind of useful to think about it, the journey of where you want to go as being a journey, as being a marathon rather than a sprint.
That's good.
And, getting that woman away from that awful white bleached color that doesn't suit her skin tone, for example, and moving her across to something that's more buttery and softer. And I'm just using that as an example. Think along the lines of it being a journey and taking them, bit by bit down that path. And that might be you know, changing the length of the hair, or changing, you know, accepting curly hair as opposed to always blow drying the hair straight. You know, it's a journey, and again, as you pointed out there, involving a husband or a partner or a boyfriend or whatever, that helps them with that journey and bring them into the why, you know, so you can share with them, you know, the suitability side of it. You know, here's an example of this color that's a little bit less white and a little bit less raw, and it's a little bit warmer. And look, here's why it suits your wife's skin tone, for example.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of bring them in.
Great
I'm a
advice.
big believer, Tina, of consultation standing up.
Mm,
And I really love to see, you know, I love to see a woman walk in a salon and walk towards me. I like to see how tall does she walk, you know, how are her shoulders,
wow.
you know, what is her confidence level or not, you
Yeah.
know. And then my favorite mirrors in a hair salon are when you've got those kind of ballerina mirrors, you know, the floor to ceiling.
Yeah.
And you stand a woman up in front of the mirror, and you don't talk to the woman, you talk to the woman in the mirror.
Mm,
And right away, you tend to get signals straight away in the consultation. And it's before you've really got into anything. And she's either locking eyes with you in the mirror, you know, and she's standing really tall and she's pouting her lips into the mirror, or she's maybe, you know, doing this and hiking a
this is the
dress.
time when you want to see the video.
Yeah. And to me, those are signals. And
Mm,
that's a signal of a woman who wants to come first, and she wants her hair to come second. And to one degree or other, it's me, 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 look at me hair, whether it's the color or it's the haircut or the style, whatever. And then the opposite's true. You know, the woman walks down the salon and she walks to you and her shoulders are rounded and she's a little bit pigeon-toed, and she stands in front of that mirror, and very quickly she turns away from the mirror and she starts talking to you,
mm,
you know, and her eyes are flinching and she's not. And right away, I'm getting a sense of who is this woman. Maybe wants to be bathed in hair. She wants to be shrouded in
yeah.
hair. She
Mhm.
wants her hair to come first, you know, and maybe she wants to hide a little bit behind that hair, either
Mm,
with the color or the haircut or the style or all of the above. So again, you're seeing these signals, and we've not even got into the length or the color or anything just yet, but you're just getting a sense of who is this person. And you know, there's a color, there's a haircut, there's a style for everybody, and it's just a matter of seeing who is this person. And you know, in beauty school, we kind of have bashed over our heads in beauty school that suitability is a big nose, or dealing with a long face, or dealing with eyes that are set far apart, or suitability is a round face, a square face, a triangular face. The physical attributes are kind of, I think they're like 45% of what works. What to me is the majority of what works is what is in that woman's heart.
yeah.
What's in her soul?
Mhm.
You know, is she 6'2", but she walks like she's 5'3", or
Mm,
is she 5'3" and she walks like she's 6'2"? Who is this woman? What does she do for a living? What's her interests? You know, does she spend 10 minutes doing her hair every morning, or does she spend 3 hours? Who is this? You know, what's her habits? And learning all of that and putting all of that together. And it's funny, I did a class this morning in South Africa. We were literally, I was doing a one-on-one coaching with this guy. And I said to this guy, you know, I've done people's hair that if you took a chainsaw and you cut their head off and you put their head and their haircut on a spike, their haircut wouldn't suit them.
right.
But if you took them off the spike and you put their head and their haircut back on their body and you saw their animation and the personality and the moves and the clothes and the heels and the makeup, then it now works. But in isolation,
Mm,
we can't look at suitability as this, the head, because there's a whole other factor involved. And that's where I think you can really do yourself a favor with really using your best friend. Your best friend is the mirror.
the mirror.
It doesn't
Wow.
tell lies.
You have to be a psychologist, don't you, to be a hairstylist?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
so sad that we're coming to the end of this. I could go for hours with you and literally hours. I'm telling you, I know you're very busy. I want to ask you, what do you think about virtual consultations? I've heard of many salons throughout the country that are doing these virtual consultations now, before they actually come into their space, right, to do their hair, kind of limiting exposure time, so to
Yeah.
speak. What's your opinion on that, and what advice do you give to salon owners and stylists on that?
It's a great question, Tina, and I think in the advent of COVID, they're genius. I think they're great because, as you said, some states, cities, countries are limiting the amount of time that a
Mhm.
customer can be with us in the service, and we want to maximize that by having them arrive with wet hair, for example, by not doing a blow dry,
Right.
or in this instance, doing an online consultation. I think it's great. Is it perfect? No. I think it's perfect for now. I think it's perfect for COVID times. But I think when we get back in the saddle and we see COVID in our rear view mirror, I think, going back to the traditional approach to a face-to-face consultation, because I think the other thing too, Tina, and I can't do it with you, but when I'm doing a consultation, I'm putting my hand on people's shoulders and they're
Mm.
feeling energy come out of me and come into them.
Oh, that's
And
great.
I'm telling this woman by putting my hand on her shoulders, I'm Stephen. I know what I'm doing. You're in good
That's good.
hands. I've got you covered. So there's that flow of energy that is in one direction, but that flow of energy is also the other way, Tina, in the sense that I'm really feeling this woman's spirit and who she is. Or I'm feeling that she's got 4 cats and is a librarian. And I
Yeah.
can't always feel that um, in a virtual consultation.
That's so funny. I used to be a librarian too many years ago.
You don't
Believe
look like one.
You're hitting on these things. This is so funny. Do you find it easy for you to do that because you're a man? And our women hairstylists, the immediate response of putting their hands on the shoulder. Have you seen women do that? Or is that like part of the culture that you have seen to do that immediately?
um, I just feel that the act of um, having your hair done is very physical,
Yeah.
and thank goodness it is, because computers and robots, they can't ever take away what we do. It's
Yeah.
a very physical act, and I just find it incredibly reassuring when I get my hair done, or I get
Exactly.
my facial or
Yes.
whatever, that person does that right up front.
Hmm.
I got you.
Right up
I
front.
got you covered right up front.
I love that. It builds the confidence right away, and it's gonna probably guarantee that they're gonna come back too. That's
Yeah.
retention. It's
And if
beautiful.
if if as a stylist, you feel that trepidation because that woman is a little bit touchy, she's is a little bit nervous or whatever, tell her, be upfront. I really want to put my hands on your shoulders and I just want to have you relax.
Mm,
Is that okay?
it's good.
Do I have your permission to do that? And I also say things to people. I say, when I'm doing your hair, I need your help. I really need your help because I need your head to be in just the right position for me to cut your hair. I need to move you around. Is it okay if I take your head and I move you around? Because I'm going to get through this better and quicker if I have your help. And 99% of people, yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because now they understand
Yeah,
why.
beautiful. I love this. Okay, so we're at the end. So you live in Malibu, California. My son and his wife just got married there a couple of years ago. So we spent a couple of weeks out there. It was a lot of fun in Malibu for sure. How the heck did you get to Malibu? And how much do you love it? And I'd love to just kind of hear that story. And then also a last piece of advice from you too, Stephen. So thank you for being on today.
Thank you. No, it's been great. I moved to the United States. I immigrated in '87, and I moved to Los Angeles to run the Sassoon Academy in Santa Monica. So after kind of moving around a couple of apartments, I eventually bought a house in just inland Venice Beach, and it was amazing. I could run or bicycle or skateboard to work, to the beach. I was super close to LAX, my second home, and it was great. But then my eldest daughter became of age where she needed to go to elementary school, and there wasn't the selections of schools. So what really drove us to here was the school system. It was amazing, and it was free. And I live about 5 miles inland from the beach, and it's in the mountains. And
Beautiful.
if you are of a certain age and you've watched a TV show called MASH,
Yes.
as in the Korean War, then you've seen where I live. I live in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, we bought a terrible house that was falling to pieces. And fast forward 18 years, we're still fixing
Wow.
it
How did
up.
you fare with all the fires there?
It was very scary. We've been evacuated now, I think, 5 times in all the years we've lived here. And you just have to listen to what the authorities are saying. You can't have an opinion on this. And when they say go, go.
Yeah.
We have what's called a grab bag. For people who don't live in a fire area, a grab bag is literally a bag that you grab and just run out of the house. It's got your wedding certificates, your deed of your house, your passports. So that's always there and ready, so you can just run out. And when the weather's really bad, we have the garage doors open, we have the vehicles facing out, we have a plan. And it's just something that you live with.
Yeah.
There's no point in stressing.
Yeah. Beautiful area. I was actually super surprised how it is kind of remote. It's like the country and driving inland and things like that. It's wine country too, so that was kind of cool.
Mountain lions, coyotes, deer.
Wow.
You wouldn't think you're in
It's
LA.
beautiful.
It's
really beautiful. Oh my gosh. Okay. Last piece of advice that you want to give everybody to be a next level leader. And then also, how do people get a hold of you to hire you for their salons?
Sure. I think, be the best version of yourself. And I might have said this before, I've tried over my career to be, great versions of other people. And I've failed miserably. There's lots of things that I can't do particularly well, and I admit that, and I don't stop trying to improve. But I also, on the other hand, really focus on what I do well. And Naha's a very good example. I cut hair and I teach, and that's what I really kind of focus my energy on and what I want to do. And whether you're a stylist or you're a salon, maybe look at your business and think, well, am I in a crowded environment with my business or with my, and is there an area that I want to kind of peel slightly away from and go towards and really hunker down on, and I'm making this up as I'm going along, ethnic hair. Or celebrity hair or wedding hair or balayage or soccer moms or punk or whatever it is, and maybe think about hunkering down on that and making yourself stand out in a crowd.
That's good. And you certainly have done that, Stephen. So for sure. And I love that. So how can people get a hold of you?
On Facebook, Stephen, Stephen. Last name Moody, by name but not nature. Moody.
Yes.
I'm more likely to be on Instagram. On Instagram, I am at Hair Moody. And my email address is stephen.moody@wella.com. That's a really, really easy one. And yeah, I'm happy to help, large or small. I'm happy to just have a chat with people and do a little consultation. Can I help? You know, if I can help, how can I help? You know, with the one-to-one virtual coaching that I'm doing. I'm also doing classes where I literally come into salons virtually and do haircutting demonstrations to a group of people. And then this year we just launched something called Virtual Cutcraft, which is amazing. And that's five hours of really intense hands-on training. Again, all virtual. Maximum of 6 people, Tina. Minimum of 3. So yeah, a little bit of everything really. And then when we get out of this awful mess, I'm really kind of focused on working in Wella Studios in Sao Paulo or in Moscow, or in this country, New York, Soho, and Calabasas here in California, and Toronto in Canada.
Oh, nice. Okay, that's not too far from me. I'm in Port Huron, Michigan, so most of the time. So
yeah,
very good.
Very close. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Stephen. You are awesome.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for your time. This is incredible. Everybody's gonna love it. Thank you.
I always love chatting with you. You're such a smiley, positive person, and
Thank you.
I think positivity is infectious.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you, Stephen. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Tina.